What's up, YouTube? PokePrimer here, trying to arrange and deliver you our Week 1 Team Builder here in NPBF Season 12, the Monotype season. We are the Mono Water team, the Anaheim Appletons, and we are going to be taking on, in Week 1, the Mono Bug team, the Delaware Pelippers, coached by my good buddy Nate. And his team, these bugs are definitely pretty scary, not gonna lie. His team consists of the mons you see down below me, being the Galvantula, Volcarona, Buzzwole, Orbeetle, Fortress, Golisopod, Frostmoth, Centiskorch, Durant, Grimmsnarl, Greninja, only Torrent Greninja, and the Mega Scizor. So, a couple things to note, a couple things that are threatening. The Galvantula is a massive threat, being his electric type. He also, with grass coverage, I could very well see it being a Scarf variant to try to outspeed a majority of my threats, but I could also see him running more of a Life Orb and or Specs variant. That could also be very threatening. I kind of have contingencies for both kind of routes that he can go, so we'll see how those play out. Hopefully they will play out very nicely for me. Volcarona, while it is a fire type, obviously it is still a threat. He can run like a Pasho Berry or something on it to allow it to get up a Quiver Dance, and then at that point it becomes a lot more threatening, with things like Giga Drain as coverage, and just being able to generally mess up a lot of members of my team, because Bug Buzz is a really difficult thing for us to switch into as well. Other than that, things like Golisopod can work as like a really good like defensive check for a lot of my mons, and then things like Fortress, Durant, and Mega Scizor can really benefit from the rain that I'll be setting up during the course of the match, due to the fact that they are 4 times weak to fire. Grimmsnarl with dual screens is going to be a massive nuisance, just due to the simple fact that it allows a lot of his other mons to be able to set up in front of my face, and that's no bueno. Frostmoth could be a problem. If he gets it in against one of our special attackers, you can very easily set up a Quiver Dance, and at that point, start to really mess us up as well. Yeah, other than that, like Orbeetle can throw up webs. Buzzwole is very bulky, and then obviously has the Torrent Greninja. That could also work as kind of like a pseudo-defensive check, but also like just a really fast, hard-hitting mon for in the rain. I don't see Greninja coming. I don't think it has a great matchup here. But if I had to pick any mons on his team to show up, I think Galvantula is pretty much a lock. I could see Fortress, and one of his other bug steals, probably Mega Scizor. I could definitely see Grimmsnarl coming, and Golisopod, and then maybe anywhere between Frostmoth or Orbeetle. I think it's the last to come. I think those two are likely, but I'm not certain. But I think overall, outside, like Volcarona is less likely, but could still come. Centiskorch, I think, is the least likely of his mons to show up. I think it's almost on the same level as Greninja of likelihood. But every single mon on his team is really, really solid, and definitely all have the ability to be problematic for us. So I put a lot of work into prepping this team this week. I've noticed, as a cat has appeared in my lap. Hello, Wesker. How are you? I didn't say you could come on my lap, did I? No, I didn't. It's not the time, Wesker. Thank you for leaving. What a cute cat. Gotta love him. At least he likes to sit in my lap. Anyways, I noticed very quickly that when it comes to monotype prepping, the spreads are definitely going to be a lot more optimized I'm going to have to be a lot more cautious to where I throw my EVs. So you're going to very well see that in this first week's team builder, that a lot of things are going to be a little bit more specialized in some sense. So the first mon that I'm bringing is Lamp the Lantern, holding the leftovers with the Volt Absorbability, Volt Switch, Scald, Protect, and Toxic. 248 HP, 16 special attack, 136 special defense, and 108 speed with a calm nature. Now, I actually, to the point that, like, I want to be as informational as possible and have, like, actual, like, details for once, because I'm really trying to take this season seriously, because I got a really good typing, and I've missed out on winning the title here for the past, like, 7 seasons, or however long I've been here. So, I want to win this season, straight up. So, I'm going to be taking notes on shit. I'm going to be prepping my ass off for each and every game. I'm going to win my matchups against teams that are super effective against me. Oh, excuse me. Or I have bad matchups against. I'm going to find ways to make those work, no matter what. And, yeah, that's the plan. But I actually legitimately, like, I have notes on my phone. You can see notes for my week 1 spreads. Just, like, little notes and nuggets of, like, calcs and things that I did to make sure that that I can give this team the best representation I possibly can. So, Lantern. First thing I threw on there is that 108 speed. I wanted to be able to outspeed a max speed Golisopod. I think Golisopod, while I do see it as being a defensive check, I could also see it running enough. Like, I have to cover for a more offensive variant as well. So running this speed will allow me to outpace it at all times. Be able to hit it really hard with the Volt Switch. Kind of keep pressure on the Golisopod as well, which I think is going to be very, very important. The HP and SPDEF prevents a 2-hit KO from Life Orb Galvantula from anything. So no matter what it uses, Energy Ball, Gear Drain, whatever, Galvantula cannot 2-hit KO me. And then I had 16 EVs left over after I achieved that, so I just threw the rest into the special attack stat, because that last little bit could be like the 0.5% or extra percentage point that I need in damage in some cases to nail it to a KO or nail an OKO or something. So I figured that would be nice to help chip the team down a little bit faster. But I think Lantern was essential this week with the Volt Absorb because of the Galvantula. Galvantula can basically very freely click Thunder against a large portion of my team because I am, mono water. So having at least one of my immunities to it, I may or may not have the other one with me as well, can keep that thing as in check as possible. So, with that being said, we move on to our next mon, and that is going to be our shiny Volcanion Yellowstone, rocking the heavy-duty boots, Steam Eruption, Flamethrower, Defog, and Flame Charge, 252 HP, 28 special attack, 84 into special defense, and 144 speed with a timid nature. Okay, so let's see, what do we got here? Alright, so the speed allows us to outspeed every single one of his Bugmons after a Flame Charge. So obviously we won't outspeed any Scarfers, but we will outspeed every bug on his team all the way up to Galvantula once we get a Flame Charge off. And against his team, there's a lot of mons that we can definitely get Flame Charges off on. Things like Frostmoth, any of the Bug Steals, pretty much anything for the most part. For the most members of that team, I can probably just click Flame Charge against. The only thing that prevents that is if he does bring the Centiskorch, because it can have Flash Fire, but I'm not predicting the Centiskorch to come, and I think it would be way too risky of him to bring it because Essentially, like, if it can't really come in cleanly in most cases, and it can't really... It's not safe in this matchup. So I can get a Flame Charge off pretty freely, and then outspeed everything on his team, barring any Scarfers. And then Flamethrower can just kind of clean house on most things. The only thing that it won't really mess with is the Greninja, which doesn't appreciate a Steam Eruption even though it's resisted, and the potential burn, and it also won't like completely nuke the Volcarona, which again we have Steam Eruption for. The HP plus SPDF prevents a 2 KO from a +1 Volcarona. This is kind of like just an alternate variant of the spread that I ran against Pantros over the BTA on week 2 over there, except instead of running a Sassy Nature with like the Rock Slide tech and whatnot, I felt like with the Flame Charge idea here, I felt like the just throwing 84 into the SPDF to get the same stat number worked just as well. This time I didn't really need to run the Rock Slide tech for this one. I felt like Steam Eruption was more than enough, especially if I can get to the point where I can outspeed it. And then I had 28 EVs left over, so I just threw those into special attacks to make sure my Flamethrowers and my Steam Eruptions hit a little bit harder. But yeah, that's our Volcanion. Specifically, I also wanted to bring Defog because he has a lot of hazard potential. He has 1, 2... I'm trying to think. Only the two Web Setters, plus he's got Fortress, which carries all 3 of the other hazards. Golisopod gets spikes. So I wanted to be sure that I had... Greninja also gets spikes and toxic spikes. And of course Grimmsnarl has its screens. So I wanted to make sure that I had Defog here, so that I could remove his screens, keep him from setting those up, and as well as keep all those hazards off the field, because I could very well see him going with kind of a hazard stacking strategy. I do have a good amount of hazard control on my team, but I'd rather not have to rely on, just hoping that he doesn't bring that. So I wanted to make sure that I had Defog available as an option. Next up, we have Toilet the Pelipper, holding the Damp Rock with the Drizzle ability. Of course, we can set up our Rain. Rain is going to be such a crucial part of our team this season, so I definitely think that you're going to be seeing a lot of Toilet and a lot of Muddy the Politoed as well. Throughout the course of the season, they will be doing their best to interchange themselves week after week. We were running 248 HP, 204 defense, and 56 speed with a timid nature. Why are their speed stats different? Huh. Why are their speed stats different? I wonder, why are their speed stats different? Did I mess up someone's EVs? I hope I didn't mess up someone's EVs. $196. So you have you're one EV too much. Ah, that's why. Okay. That makes sense. It's one of those, like, jumps by 2 points spots. Okay. Never mind. We're good. Okay, so the speed is to make sure we outspeed Golisopod. Because, again, this is also a good switch into Golisopod. Because it's most likely to be clicking things like First Impression or like Liquidation or something like that. So this works as a pretty decent switch into it. Plus, this will be coming in and out of the game as much as possible to preserve our Rain and try to make it last as long as possible. He'd have to run something to manually set some kind of weather to try to stop our Rain. I don't know if Grimmsnarl gets any weather-related moves. Let me check that real quick. I should have checked this in prep, but I didn't think to. But it's worth checking now. Something to note. Let us see. Doesn't get anything by level up. Does he get anything by TM? Does not look like he gets anything by TM. Are they TRs now? No, it doesn't seem like they're TRs. Looking good, looking good. Alright, cool. He does not get any weather setting moves, so he would have to manually set it with one of his other mons. So, excuse me. I think that gives us a pretty good setup to just kind of keep the rain going as long as physically possible. Hurricane is a no drawback click against their team. He doesn't have any switch-ins to it outside of Grimmsnarl and Greninja. Greninja's not really a safe switch-in. It's just that it's not like super effective. I mean, I guess he has like Fortress, Durant, and Mega Scizor, but they don't appreciate the Hurricanes. Like, his best switch-ins are probably going to be like Grimmsnarl, maybe. He has some that are neutral to it, but still aren't going to appreciate these 100% accurate Hurricanes. And so I decided, like, defensively, I wanted to throw the majority of it into physical defense, because looking at Nate's team, the majority of the mons that I personally feel are coming, and I think are the most threatening to Pelipper as well, or most threatening to our team as a whole, are things like Buzzwole, Orbeetle, Golisopod, Durant, Mega Scizor, all of which are more physically offensive. So having a more physically bulky Pelipper gives me a decent kind of pivot to switch into those and work around them with. Scald is, again, another kind of no drawback thing. Getting those burns will be great. Roost to keep this thing healthy, because I want this thing to be a switch-in for a majority of the game. I want to be able to come in and out of the game as freely as it needs to. And then, of course, U-turn to keep up momentum. If I am in a position that I feel comfortable, that I don't feel like Pelipper can potentially die, I will probably just click U-turn almost every time this thing hits the field. And bring in one of our two Rain Sweepers, which both are coming this week. The first one being Popeye, the Mega Swampert. Of course, holding the Swampertite with the Swift Swim ability. Waterfall, Rock Slide, Brick Break, and Stealth Rock. We have 12 in HP, 252 into attack, and 244 speed with a Jolly Nature. Basically, to sum this one up, it's a pretty straightforward set. EV-wise, this is all the speed that we needed to outpace a Scarfed Galvantula in the rain. So I didn't think that we couldn't outspeed a Scarfed Greninja if we wanted to in rain. I don't really think that that was a necessity, because it's just Greninja. I'm not stressing over Greninja. If he is Scarfed Greninja in the rain, or if he is Scarfed Greninja, good for him. He'll catch me off guard with it, but I don't think that would be a problem. So this allowed speeds up to Scarf Galvantula. Waterfall is very much no drawback against his team. In the rain, he doesn't really have anything that wants to take a Waterfall, which is great for me. Rock Slide is here as a quicker option of getting rid of Volcarona without having to touch it, potentially get flame-bodied, which I think is something that I know my luck would have happened. I would click Waterfall once on the Volcarona, and I would get burned immediately. So, having the Rock Slide is important for that, as well as potentially Senna Scorch if he has the same kind of thing going for it. Excuse me. I didn't feel like Earthquake was a necessity, because unless, only about half his team is neutral to it, and so that didn't really seem very worth. And then I bring the Brick Break because, again, just in case I can't get Yellowstone in safely, which I should be able to in a lot of cases, but just in case I can't, I want to make sure that I had an alternate way of getting rid of Nate's screens. So I did bring the Brick Break on my Swampert here. I just felt that would be safe. I felt it would be a safer thing to do. And then last but not least, we have the Stealth Rock, and that's specifically because of the fact that we do have an item clause this season. So no more than 2 Pokemon can hold the same item on a team at the same time, and since he is Mono Bug, I do definitely predict that there will be at least 2 pairs of heavy-duty boots running around on his team, but that is the most that he can have. So being able to get rocks up at some point will be huge, because will be forced to take that 25% on a lot of his team. Some of his team has to be wearing the boots because they take 50%. I think if he were to bring Volcarona, obviously that's going to be carrying boots, as well as Frostmoth. I definitely think will have to have the boots. I can also see him doing boots Fortress if he doesn't bring one of the 4 times weaknesses to rocks. I can see him doing boots Fortress to maintain his sturdy. I think that would make sense to me as well. But those 3 are like the most likely boots options, I think. Maybe Golisopod as well, to keep it as more of a defensive check, so it doesn't take all the rocks damage and potentially get itself emergency exited out a lot quicker. I think that would be very bad for the Golisopod. So, yeah. But Swampert's pretty straightforward. He's definitely not our main rain sweeper this week. The main one is going to be our good friend Doodra, the Kingdra, rocking the Life Orb this week with the Swift Swim ability. Surf, Hurricane, Protect, and Flip Turn. I don't believe I actually talked too much about Protect on this thing yet. I didn't talk too much about the Protect on Lamp either. So I bring Protect on. I think I'm bringing Protect on 3 of my mons this week, and that is because of the Golisopod. Because basically I brought Protect on the 3 mons that take the most damage from first impression. That's kind of how I made that decision. Excuse me. Basically, if Golisopod comes in on any of these mons, I click Protect immediately. Block the first impression. Durant also can carry the first impression, of course, so I would be doing the same thing with Durant. Just making sure that they are handled. So, speed-wise, I'm running the same speed as I am on Swampert, which actually... Let me check something real quick. I don't think he'd run this set. No, he won't run this set. No, he won't. Yeah. Never mind. I was debating because, obviously, these speeds are set to outpace a Scarfed Galvantula while in rain. Obviously, Durant is base point higher, so technically a Scarf Durant would be faster. However, I don't feel like Scarf Durant is a good bring this game, personally, but that's just me. I also don't feel like Durant comes this game, but that's also me as well. That's just my personal thoughts. He could feel differently. We'll see what happens when the battle comes. You'll see it tomorrow. But, yeah. Kingdra does a shit ton of work this game. Obviously, we just talked about Protect. Surf is pretty much no drawback. His only resist to Surf on his entire team is the Golisopod / Greninja. And a Life Orb Surf from Kingdra is going to mess up Golisopod, especially because we can Protect on the first impression and then go for a 100% accurate Life Orb. Hurricane, which is nasty. And we are max special attack with a Rash nature, so those Life Orb boosted Hurricanes are going to be ripping through his team very, very effectively. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about here is the Flip Turn. The reason we are running a Rash nature and through the last 40 into our physical attack is because of Frostmoth. Because Frostmoth, especially if it's carrying the boots with its Ice Scales ability, can come in on a special Kingdra pretty easily and tank a hit, set up a Quiver Dance or 2 in our face. I could see it running like a Quiver Dance Protect 2 attacks kind of set, so that it could stall out our rain, get Quiver Dances up, and possibly proceed to sweep us. So in order to prevent that from happening, especially in order for us to prevent it from happening in Kingdra's face, we are running the Flip Turn. Flip Turn in rain with the 40 EVs, I believe, does... it does like 56 or something. Let me... 40 plus Life Orb plus Flip Turn versus Frostmoth, Standard Quiver Dance in the rain. No, it does 68 to 80.7%. That is massive damage. Absolutely ludicrous damage. So at that point, that will make it so that I can immediately go Flip Turn out into something like Swampert, into something like Volcanion, something along those lines, and immediately pressure the Frostmoth to the point where there's no way it can do anything. Just stop it completely in its tracks. Whether Quiver Dance or not, Frostmoth is shut down at that point. So that is the whole point of having... I was going to run Flip Turn on Kingdra anyway, but then seeing how much damage it did to Frostmoth, I couldn't resist going with this kind of set. So that's our Kingdra. And last but not least, we have Poseidon the Manaphy. I'm rocking the Calm Mind, Protect, Surf, and Rest. Holding the Wakan Berry with Hydration ability, of course. 48 HP, 204 into special attack, 4 Spadef, and 252 speed with a timid nature. So, ran the max speed because I wanted to at least be able to force speed ties with Volcarona before it sets up a Quiver Dance, of course. Especially if you can get a Calm Mind or two up before it can come in and set up a Quiver Dance in our face, that'd be great, because then if we can just get our attack off before he sets up a Quiver Dance, makes it much easier for us to be able to pick up a KO. The special attack, this special attack is designed to make sure that we can KO Galvantula at +1 after 1 Life Orb hit. So, I do think that Galvantula will probably be Life Orb. That's my thought process, at least. I think that's a thing. So, my goal is to get up a Calm Mind, kill something. Galvantula comes in, we tank a Thunder thanks to our Wakan Berry. Hopefully the rain is up, so in case he paras us, we can just heal that immediately thanks to Hydration. And then we fire off the Surf and just finish off the Galvantula. Now, if the rain's not up, that doesn't matter, because, Surf will still KO it. I think, actually, Surf KOs it. Surf KOs it guaranteed in the rain, and outside of the rain, we need the Life Orb hit. But, I plan on getting rocks up, for sure, at some point, so, after rocks, it guaranteed dies, anyway. 2+1 Surf, so that's pretty cool as well. Then we have the Protect, obviously, again, for the first impression. And then Rest, because, we have the Hydration ability, which will heal our statuses in the rain. And we have a Rain Setter. So, it just kind of makes sense. Keeping Manaphy around for as long as possible seems like a logical thought process. And being able to just click Rest, get ourselves back up to full, and then bring this thing back in later in the rain and just have it wake right up immediately and be able to get back to messing up Nate's team just sounds like a fantastic thing to me. So that is going to be our team. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you are seeing this over on the Facebook page, please make sure to leave a like and comment there, and make sure to follow the NPBF here on Facebook. If you are seeing this on my channel on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and comment here as well, and go and follow the NPBF Facebook page as well, because I'll be posting my stuff on there and over there, and on whatchamacallit. I'll be posting my stuff on their Facebook page as well as on my channel. So check it out in both places. There's also going to be a lot of other content going over on the NPBF YouTube channel. Originally I thought it was going to be the Facebook page, but I was incorrect. We'll be linking all of the YouTube stuff to the Facebook as well. So it's another link to get there. I'll be putting up a whole lot of things on a whole lot of places for the NPBF this season. It's going to be a wild, wild ride, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. So, thank you guys again for checking this out, and until next time, I'm PokePrimer, signing off.